Hello, and welcome back to the LAMDA log. This is week 5, day 3, Wednesday, the 11th of February, 2026. Our first performance for Tis Pity She's a Whore. Super, super stoked. Can't wait to tell you all about it. So this morning was crazy because I was running all around. I got there, I got to school like around 8:45-ish, 8:50-ish. And I just was going back and forth between a bunch of places. I ran to the Hammersmith tube station because there was a card shop and I wanted to buy a card for Nicola. So I bought a big card and then I came back. Well, I dropped off my stuff, went to Hammersmith, came back, dropped that off at the school, went back out for the butcher to get the heart, got the heart, dropped that off, figured that out. And I was like, okay, I need to put this in the fridge and like cover it so people aren't like, ooh, there's a heart. And I was like, it's also kind of a surprise, so I'm going to hide it. And then I went to IKEA to look for like a cooler bag so that I could keep it like fresh because it's going to just be like a raw pig's heart. And so then I was trying to get into IKEA, and IKEA is hard to get into because it's confusing, but it turns out it wasn't even open. So then I went to Lindy, I think is the name of the store. It's like a grocery store. I think it's German, maybe. Lindy, Lindli, something like that. And I was looking for a cooler bag there, and they didn't have one, but they did have cleaning supplies because I wanted to be able to wipe up the whatever blood juice I get. And so I got those, and then I went back out, and then I went over to Sainsbury, and I was like, maybe Sainsbury has a cooler bag, and they did. And so I grabbed a cooler bag from there, and then I looked for ice, but they were out of ice. And so I went back to Lindy, and I got some frozen berries to use as my ice. And then one of the actresses playing Annabella needed to get a heart necklace from H&M, which was in the same like building complex. So I went over to H&M, but they were all tangled up. And so I was trying to like untangle them, and then it wasn't working. And then I gave them to like the receptionist, and she was trying to untangle them. And then it was this whole thing. And I was like, oh, time is running out. I was like, can I buy one, untangle it, and bring the rest back? She's like, I don't usually work here. And so I asked somebody else. He's like, no. And then I asked the manager, and then they sent someone to go look for it in like the back to see if there was some that weren't tangled up. And then I asked the manager, and she went to look back for it. And I'm just like, I'm late. So I like messaged someone. I was like, hey, tell Nicola that I'm almost there. It was a fiasco, let me tell you. But they said that there were some in the back, but it was like in a box that was kind of far away, and so they would have to like go there and like get it all sorted out, and that I'd be late for class. So I went to class, and we are just doing notes. And since I'm not in the end, I didn't miss anything. But these were the notes. And might I add that during the break, the girl playing Annabella, she was able to go and get that necklace. So I take responsibility for that, for setting her up for success. Anyway, some notes that we had for our last kind of dress rehearsal was, is that right? Yeah, because our first performance is at night. Yeah, the previous run that we did the night before was avoid the light part of the floor because it's really creaky, and avoid being loud at all backstage. And yeah, avoid drawing any focus, so walking movements when you're like backstage. Make sure to be clean with the storytelling and communicating these lines, especially those that carry the story. Be still and strong while speaking the lines with intention and clarity. It's frequently enough. Like, you don't have to do a lot. And then cut out any unnecessary movements. Then the action scenes, the action serves the text, not the other way around. So we need to make sure that the action is helpful and not unhelpful. And then we need to hear the words because our room is just so echoey. Don't land too hard on the ands and buts. The real meaning is around these words, and not within them. stay seated until the last moment to enter. It will avoid traffic jams and will be much cleaner. Then we ran through anything that didn't really work, some entrances and exits, like any of the technicalities. And then we stopped moving in the actor's chair, just be still. Props are useless unless we give them status. So like with a knife, it can't just be like whatever. And with the heart, it can't just be like whatever. Um, no notes on the Annabella scene with my partner and I. And then one note was to I did get one note. It was just I died a little too center and I need to be further off. It was just a positioning thing, which I totally clocked. I was like, got it. Like as I was doing it, I was like, I'm way too center, but I wasn't gonna move after I died. Then we ran the ending and worked on specifics. Then we had lunch. During lunch, I had to clean out the hearts because there was like congealed blood in it. So I grabbed them and I was looking for a semi-private kitchen, like sink. And so I went all the way up to the top floor, has a little kitchen. So I went in there and I was just like getting it out and rinsing it off. And somebody like comes in to like use the microwave, and I must have looked like a serial killer or just a psychopath as I'm just have this heart and I'm just like rinsing it and getting the blood off. And I'm like, just don't look over here, don't mind me. Um, yeah, the two people came in, didn't mention anything, so I'll just take it as they didn't notice. But I felt like a crazy person. And then I was able to eat my food really quick. And then we did a full run and we focused on clarity, connection, pace, but with time for the moments and to have fun. And what? Let me see. Yeah, and I think that was our last run before we performed. It was, yeah. So we did that, and then we got to take a little break. And I noticed just like really watching it and paying more attention that Giovanni can be a little bit creepy and he can be a little bit of a ways. Um, so yeah. And that was just something else that I caught on. I was like, he's a little creepy, which is totally part of him. And then the run went pretty good, but I wasn't like dropped in. I didn't really feel it. Like I wasn't emotionally there, and I was like, bummer. So I'm just gonna take my time, build up off stage for my entrance, allow the show to affect me, and then a performance sparkle will bring it up that last step, but don't let the audience's energy run away with the show. Still tell the story, but don't fall into melodrama. And then um, after the little heart game where we pass the heart pill around, get settled as quickly as possible, and then I had a specific note to change my waistcoat, my vest, at a moment of transition and quickly, and at just a different point. I just drew focus when I did that. No notes again, which was kind of nice. Glad it worked even when I felt disconnected. Our run time was an hour and 50 minutes, so it was a little long. But Thursday schedule, um, I asked Nicola because she kind of deputized me for a little assistant director. Just because it works out, I'm not in it so much, but we're going to watch Penny Show in the morning. We'll have our Italian run, and then we'll be free. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But it was a great performance. Our performance was awesome. We had the M's and so the musical theater MFAs and MAs, and then the D2s, so the classicals MFA students. And yeah, so the funniest thing, I felt dropped in. I felt good. I felt really strong about the performance. But when I went to get the heart, it's a really quick scene. So I have not a ton of time. So I go off stage after I've killed my sister, and then I grab the heart. I dip it in some blood, some corn syrup and food coloring and soap, and then I come down with it dripping on my hand. I'm like, here's Soranzo trimmed in reeking blood that triumphs over death. Um, but so I grabbed the heart and then I was putting it in the blood bag because it's just like a Ziploc bag, and it wasn't like nothing was coming onto it. I was like, what the heck? And then earlier that day, the blood bag got punctured a little bit in the corner, and so I put it in another bag. But then I was putting it between the two bags instead of in the normal bag, and so I and it got like stuck together because corn syrup's just like liquid sugar. So I like peeled that ever open. It must have made a noise, but I wasn't paying attention. I dipped it really quick, and then I came out and I was like, "Here, here, Soranzo, dreams in reeking blood that triumphs over death." And then I was doing my scene, and then there's a moment where I say, um, "'Tis Annabella's heart, 'tis. Why do you startle? I vow 'tis hers. This dagger's point plowed up her fruitful womb and left to me the fame of a most glorious executioner." And I'm supposed to take out my dagger and say, "This dagger's point plowed up her fruitful womb." And you might see where this is going, because when I went to reach for my dagger, I was like, it's not there. And I was like, my dagger's point plowed up her fruitful womb and left to me the fame of a most glorious executioner. And then the whole time I'm just like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I was like, my knife, I left it over by the blood bag off stage, and there was not a moment or anything where I could go over and grab it. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? I was like, am I gonna kill him with the power of the heart? Just fear him to death? I was like, am I gonna punch him over and over again? What am I gonna do? And when it came time, I stand up. Well, he says something. He's like, will you outlive your murders? And I stand up and I grab my knife and I'm like, yes, I tell thee, yes. For in my fists I bear the twists of life. Soranzo, see this heart which was thy wife's. Thus I exchange it royally for thine. And thus, now brave revenge is mine. Um, and I just approached him with just the heart. And we had this silent conversation in a split second where we made eye contact. He kind of gestured his knife just slightly, and I got it. And I looked at it, I was like, yeah. So I grab his knife and I killed him with it. And then that was great. And then I move over and I'm like, haha, now brave revenge is mine. And then Vasquez, his manservant's supposed to kill me next. And so he comes, spoilers for "'Tis Pity She's a Whore." It's been a few hundred years, but maybe that spoiler warning's a little early, little late in what I'm saying. Anyway, so Vasquez, played by a woman, she comes at me and I'm like, she doesn't have her dagger either. And I was like, I can't remember. Usually I say I'm armed to meet thee, um, or something. But the lines were just changed. And so it's supposed to be a surrendering death, and I'm supposed to be like, kill me. But she came over and she didn't have a knife, so she just took it from me and stabbed me. And I was like, ugh. And so it worked. It came off as just a little clunky, but nobody thought it was a mistake, which is great. And what had happened was I left my dagger over there when I was fiddling with the heart, and the guy playing Soranzo left his dagger somewhere. Just it fell out of his pocket, and so Vasquez gave her dagger to Soranzo. I stole Soranzo's dagger. She stole it back and killed me. So it was, we made it work, and we didn't break, and it was good. Yeah, but it was so fun. It was a great time. Um, so then we had our notes. We got lovely feedback and everything before, as people were gone, and they were like really impressed and grossed out by the heart. And the D2s were really complimentary, and so were the M students. And it was just a really gratifying experience. Um, yeah, then we had some notes and lovely relationships, great storytelling, a few technical issues. The heart, you know, will we'll fix that. We went from three daggers to one, um, and then we just like went one by one with these notes. And somebody told me that um, that they're just really proud of me, and from where I started. And they worked with me on my first project, and just to see how far I've come um, was really just sweet. It was great. I got an actual like directorial note. I underemphasized incests in this line that which would in other incests be abhorred, talking about our love is like better than other loves, other incestual loves. And so I need clarity on which would in other incests be abhorred, to have that comparison and not lose that. But it was lovely. I love these people. I love doing theater, and it was so good. And then we did a quick little pub run afterwards with a handful of people. Literally, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they were all super complimentary towards me too, and it was just a really good experience. Anyway, that was Wednesday. The what? The 11th of February. I hope you have a wonderful day and life. I didn't get to bed till like midnight, but that's fine. It was past midnight. And so I'll tell you all about the next day. Next. Bye bye.